1 obesity, 35 to 39 class 2 obesity, anything over 40 class 3 obesity, which is morbid obesity, i.e. a level of obesity which could very possibly lead to early death. Your BMI is 64.6.
Piers Morgan has never been shy when it comes to voicing his opinions, especially about Hollywood. Whether it's slamming award shows like the Oscars or criticizing controversial casting decisions, Morgan has made himself a loud and influential figure in the media world. His outspoken views often take him at what he sees as Hollywood's growing obsession with woke culture. But what happens when a figure like Piers Morgan takes on Hollywood, one of the most powerful entertainment machines on the planet? Can one critic really change the conversation in an industry known for tightly controlling its image and stories? Piers Morgan has never hidden his strong opinions on topics like gender identity and self-identification. For years, he's taken a stand against what he views as a growing movement away from biological facts, which often puts him at odds with Hollywood's more progressive ideas. Morgan's stance on gender identity has sparked countless debates both on TV and online. His arguments are simple and clear. To him, a man is an adult male human, and a woman is an adult female human. This belief shapes his critics of the more modern understanding of gender as something fluid and self-defined.
Women's rights. This is the woman who just literally lost her job for allowing a male rapist into a female prison.
Morgan's perspective is rooted in the belief that biology can be changed. While he recognizes that people may feel differently about their gender, he insists that feelings don't change the facts of biology. This has led to frequent clashes with advocates for self-identification who argue that gender is more about personal identity than physical traits. One of Morgan's most controversial arguments revolves around the potential consequences of allowing unrestricted self-identification. He points to real-life cases, such as a male prisoner who claimed to be female and was transferred to a women's prison, where he allegedly committed assaults. For Morgan, this is a perfect example of how things can go wrong when biological facts are ignored.
Anyone, according to you, can identify as a woman. Anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with it.
Just literally put the hand up and say, I'm a woman.
But it's not an easy thing to do, to go out into
Actually,
the world.
it's very easy.
Very easy.
Morgan's criticism goes beyond just theoretical arguments. He's concerned about the real-world implications. He argues that without proper boundaries, self-identification could lead to dangerous situations, particularly in areas like prisons or women's sports, where physical differences between men and women play a critical role. Gender identity isn't just a political or academic issue, it's become a central topic in Hollywood as well. The entertainment industry has fully embraced inclusivity, leading the charge to redefine social norms. Whether it's the roles actors play or the way characters are written, the impact of gender identity and diversity in Hollywood is hard to ignore.
Into the world and say, I don't identify as perhaps the sex I was born as.
So why can't I identify... Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was...
Well, I'm serious. If I can identify as anything...
In recent years, Hollywood has made major efforts to include voices and stories that were once pushed to the sidelines. Transgender actors have become more visible, and many argue that the industry is finally giving space to narratives that had long been ignored. From hiring practices in production to character development, inclusivity has become a major focus. But not everyone thinks this shift is entirely positive. While many celebrate the industry's step towards greater inclusivity, critics like Piers Morgan argue that it can sometimes go too far. They claim that the push for diversity, particularly in casting, can come at the cost of good storytelling. For Morgan, some casting decisions seem more about meeting diversity quotas than finding the best actor for the role. Hollywood's dedication to progressive values has made it a cultural background. Celebrities frequently use their platforms to champion causes such as LGBTQ+ rights, and films are increasingly seen not just as entertainment, but as political statements. Yet, Morgan is among those who feel that this focus on inclusivity sometimes comes at the expense of creative integrity. To Morgan, the entertainment industry is becoming too focused on ticking boxes rather than telling great stories. He argues that this results in films and shows that may lack authenticity, as they are more concerned with avoiding criticism from activists than creating something truly meaningful. One of Morgan's favorite targets is Hollywood's approach to casting, especially when it involves gender identity. He believes that the industry's focus on inclusivity is often misguided and can lead to casting decisions that feel forced or unnatural. Morgan has pointed out instances where male characters have been recast as female or where transgender actors are chosen for roles that don't seem to match their identity. For Morgan, these decisions aren't about making the story better. They're about appeasing activists. He argues that such casting choices may sacrifice the authenticity of a character, and in turn, the integrity of the story. This doesn't mean Morgan is against diversity in casting, but he believes it should serve the story, not the other way around. For him, casting should be based on merit and whether an actor fits the role, rather than just trying to satisfy diversity demands.
She had to resign after putting a biological male rapist into a women's prison. So there is obviously damage there from self-identity, isn't there?
Well, certainly, but I think the issue there was rapists, not the issue of the sexual.
What is the fact she felt that
Morgan is no stranger to controversial opinions, and his critics of Hollywood often focus on specific films and casting decisions. A well-known example is Scarlett Johansson's casting in Ghost in the Shell, a movie adapted from a Japanese manga. Many fans accuse the film of whitewashing by casting Johansson, a white actress, as Major Motoko Kusanagi, a traditionally Japanese actor. Morgan was quick to defend Johansson, arguing that an actor's job is to play a character, regardless of their own race or ethnicity. He believes limiting
hungry
actors to
vegans
roles
targeted
that match
Big
their
Ben today,
personal
spraying white
identity
paint
is
outside the House of
restrictive
Parliament
and
ahead of his
undermines the
First
essence of
premises
acting.
questions.
While some agreed with him, many others argued that Hollywood needs to be more mindful of representation, especially in cases where a character's race or background is an integral part of their story. The Ghost in the Shell debate is just one of the many examples where Morgan has criticized what he sees as Hollywood's misguided approach to diversity. Another key issue was the #OscarsSoWhite movement, which called attention to the lack of diversity among Oscar nominees. In 2015 and 2016, no actors of color were nominated in any of the major categories, sparking widespread backlash and calls for boycotts.
And both can be true at the same time.
Well, I'm not sure it can, because I don't think you can have limitless self-identity without it infringing particularly on women's rights to equality and fairness. That's the problem with it. And that's why it sounds great to say, of course you can, but then you end up with that ridiculous woman, Rachel Dolezal, who decided to identify as black.
Morgan argued that while diversity is important, award nominations should be based on merit, not race or ethnicity. He warned that enforcing diversity quotas could diminish the prestige of the Oscars, turning them into a political statement rather than a celebration of talent. Piers Morgan's fiery opinions don't just stay within the entertainment world, they often spark debates that stretch into broader cultural conversations. His ability to tackle sensitive topics head-on forces audiences to think critically about the shifts happening in Hollywood.
Ridiculous woman, Rachel Dolezal, who decided to identify as black. Well, if you have limitless self-identity, why can't you?
You know, I think that somehow we have to find that balance in our...
Morgan has become a leading critic of what he calls the excesses of woke culture. His stance resonates with those who feel that free speech and diversity of thought are being stifled in Hollywood and beyond. His supporters see him as a necessary counterbalance to the growing influence of political correctness in the entertainment industry. However, Morgan's outspoken views have also drawn significant backlash. Many people see his critics as outdated and dismissive of the legitimate need for inclusivity in Hollywood. The divide between his fans and detractors reflects a larger cultural conflict over the future of entertainment and how identity politics should shape the stories as well. Morgan's willingness to speak his mind makes him a polarizing figure, but one whose influence on these discussions cannot be ignored. He continues to push back against what he views as the excesses of modern culture, positioning himself as an essential voice in Hollywood's ongoing transformation. Piers Morgan's ongoing battle with Hollywood highlights the tensions between inclusivity and artistic freedom. Whether or not you agree with him, his critics have forced the entertainment industry to reflect on the decisions it makes and the stories it tells. The big question remains: will Hollywood continue down its current path, or will voices like Morgan's spark a deeper conversation about the future of storytelling? So, what's your take? Share your thoughts in the comments below.